Welcome back to another episode of Real Appreciation. I'm David Claire Bennett, and with all the shows you could have picked to listen to, you know what I'm going to say here. You chose to listen to this one, so sincerely, thank you so much for being here with us. And hey, what better of a time could you have picked to join us? Especially if you're a horror movie lover like I am, or if you love the Saw movies like I do, or the Collector movies, again, like I do, because in today's episode of Real Appreciation, I sat down with the legend himself, Marcus Dunstan, the writer and director of The Collector and The Collection, and you're damn right I asked about where the third Collector movie stands, and let's just say that I think you guys will be very pleased to hear the exciting news about it, but I'll let him tell you that. Marcus is also the writer of Saw 4, Saw 5, Saw 6, and Saw 7, The Final Chapter. And he's the director of the upcoming horror movie #AmFad, All My Friends Are Dead, which releases in theaters August 2nd. And don't let Jojo Siwa being in it derail you from being a part of this experience, because you're going to want to watch it regardless. But before we jump into my conversation with Marcus, if you're not following the podcast already, please do me a small favor and tap that follow button. It takes 1 second, and it means so much to me, and it helps the show grow so much. And the bigger the show gets, so do the guests. I don't want to waste any more of your time, so please join me in welcoming to the show the man, the myth, the legend, Marcus freaking Dunstan. Welcome to the Real Appreciation Podcast. I'm David Claire Bennett, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by, and I do not use this word loosely, a true horror movie legend. And let me call you a legend, Marcus, because that is what you are. He is the writer behind multiple Saw films, a key creator of the Collector series, and the director of the upcoming film #AmFad, All My Friends Are Dead, starring Jojo Siwa. Yes, that is right, Jojo Siwa. Please welcome to the show, Marcus freaking Dunstan.
Thank you, David. I am grateful to be here. Special shout out to my dear friend and collaborator, Patrick Melton, who is an absolute co-catalyst of everything I've ever been on. The only reason I look good in any way is because that man is great. So I'm so happy to be here and talk about #AmFad, All My Friends Are Dead. We're in. How about this? So Patrick and I started 20 years ago with Feast, and that was when a wonderful filmmaker by the name of John Gulager took a look at this first-timer's tome of pages, and it was like, oh boy, I got you. And he protected them. He protected them, and we were brought into a family and learned a lot about production, but learned a lot about the heart behind it. John Gulager didn't just make films on his own, he made them with his family. That would be Diane Goldner, that would be Tom Gulager, that would be Clue, and even Clue Moshe, a little baby that has now become an awesome young man in those 20 years, yes? So now we have a script by Josh Sims and Jessica Sarah Flom called #AmFad, All My Friends Are Dead. And Patrick and I both have an EP credit on this one, executive producer, which means we can donate the resources. In my case, I threw cash in to get extra days, etc. I want to tell you this just because it popped into my head right now. I even had them put me up at a casino in Vancouver, because when I was done with work, I would go and take my per diem cash, which is like per your contract, maybe get $60 for your lunch or whatnot, put it in a slot machine and try to win more stuff for the movie. So I won a few $1,000s, carefully, be it blackjack or whatnot, and that resulted in 2 awesome kills, that we were able to go, because it just was like, all right, tonight I'm playing for the vomit gag. Oh yeah, we got it, everything for this movie, which I would absolutely love. So now to fast forward and rewind at the same time. So now Patrick and I have the opportunity to hold these pages by these first-time writers, and I was scared. I was scared in the way that I was challenged. I was scared because it's a murder mystery. Haven't done a murder mystery. We've done a who's gonna do it and when is it gonna happen, but a genuine whodunit? Woof. And with that comes a bit more acreage to develop characters. It's an ensemble. Well, I had worked in an ensemble with a twist with Unhuman, was gifted with a beautiful cast and there, but this was this actually has these set pieces, these gorific set pieces that can let us run a little bit wild. Okay, got it. And uh-oh, there's a twist I've never seen before. Oh my gosh. Oh no. And you mentioned JoJo and this cast. There's a heart. Now I was terrified and had to do it. And Kevin Greuter was the original filmmaker on All My Friends Are Dead. The obligations to Saw 10, that just the production came together quickly. And so there was a vacancy as All My Friends Are Dead was coming together. And I'm grateful to Kevin, he threw my name into a hat. I auditioned for the part of directing this, and I'm so happy that I was chosen. Because now here we are. We've got this thing that we got away with. And our lead is Jade Pettyjohn. Jade Pettyjohn is a North Star of an actor. I can't imagine anybody in their early 20s that already has like 10 years of experience at their craft. And wouldn't you know it helixes with Jojo Siwa, because those two were on the School of Rock movie adaptation to television together. And to see those two resume a rhythm, a friendship, and a professional rhythm was just so it was awesome. It was neat. It was like, man, you kind of, when you see a band come out and perform their greatest hits, and they're almost like their posture changes because they're rewinding in time to almost the first time they played it. It was really cool to watch this alchemy come together. And I want to take this opportunity, if I may. So they're supported by the award-winning Cardi Wong, who plays the character of Aaron, Justin Derrickson, Ali Fumiko Whitney, who also helped produce this and was shooting bits with her character well past, just to always refine. And what I loved about what Ali did with the character of Liv, yes, live, laugh, love, or die. We don't know. It's a murder mystery. Kept finding new layers, because I there was a lot to identify with the damage, the hopes, because she is a reflection of our character Mona, played amazingly by Jennifer Enns. Mona, who, when I read Josh and Jessica's script, I was like, I went to high school with Mona. I know exactly who Mona is. And yet what I wanted for the character in the movie was, because it's a murder mystery, because you have a little more acreage and page count to get to know these characters, we want to be suspicious of them. Maybe we want to know why they ask for it. Maybe we want them to root for them. Well, I thought, well, why don't we reach for one more thing? Because we've got all the material here in the pages. What if we understand them? What if we see a full arc? Because in our commentary of social media, it's an update of voyeurism, and that we've invited the voyeur in. We've invited the voyeur into our pockets. They no longer have to watch from the tree line or wait till your tent becomes a silhouette of your vulnerabilities. No, you're like, more. Watch me more. And while you're looking into that 2x4 glass window to nowhere in your phone, you've turned your back to the 99.9 degrees of the rest of the world, where a very real threat can sneak up and take you. And there's someone out there that knows the projections of fake, the projections of perfect, the projections of want and hope kind of have a sin caliber to them. Well, that person's doing it out of vanity. That person's just a glutton for give me more. Well, that person's pride is going to turn a blind eye to the danger zones of life. Well, then you have it filled out with Julian Haig. Julian Haig, and I want to say, my gosh, Julian Haig is not only a marvelous actor, but he's kind of like a blonde Hugh Jackman, Bruce Campbell type. He's a young person.
Mm-hmm.
But he took it upon himself to gather all the actors beforehand, and they knew who they were by the time I showed up with Jade. So we had the Vancouver folks. We shot this in Vancouver. And so Justin got Cardi, Julian got Cardi, Justin, Ali, and Jennifer together. So this cabal that Jade Pettyjohn's character observes, well, they start out as friends, but then they kind of become frenemies. And from Jade's point of view, they're straight up suspects. Whoa, we had a place to go. And then going over all this is the amazing Jojo Siwa, who has the immense task of carrying and protecting the heart of the movie, a haunting presence. And I couldn't have done this without a couple of ringers. And I'm forgetting Jack Dope Smith is another one of the great folks in this movie who he kind of represents the sense of humor and is such an identifiable, lovely person. I kid you not, I cast him because he had a t-shirt that made me laugh and he backed up the shirt. It was a Rasta Bugs and Taz shirt from like the ill-guided Looney Tunes hip-hop line from like the early aughts, late 90s.
That's
And he
amazing.
wore it. And I'm like, my God. And I was like, I have that shirt. Yes, I want to meet this guy. And he's just awesome. And he plays the character of Guy, who I think also beautifully plays one of the most difficult scenes in this movie that involves a whole interaction with a squirrel. I won't say what. Now, for the horror files out there, this is the first time, and I have been participants. I've been a participant, I should say, in movies that have twists and have horror and have violence and whatnot. This is the first time I've been part of orchestrating a sequence of violence that required an intimacy coordinator. Yes, hashtag AmFat, all my friends are dead is looking to paint the silver screen red. I want to shout out two more absolute ringers that helped do this. Four-time collaborators. I think in one more collaboration, they should get like a smoking jacket, but that would be Peter Giles, who I gratefully met on Pilgrim, where he played the title character. He was able to fortunately have some time with Peter to create a character that is an absolute slogan for this movie, an agent of influencers who gets to say he delivers the line so well. Hey, I know you're going to this music festival, but if you get stabbed or something this weekend, don't post about it. Victims are so played out. That's right. This has kind of an attitude about social media and the people that are participating in it. And that leads to Michaela Russell, who Michaela Russell not only gives a great performance in the movie, but behind the scenes is a producer of it and produced all 33 of our original needle drops, our songs that are in there. So we don't sound like a greatest hits from 2 years ago. We don't sound like someone's mix. This sounds like tomorrow. The dialogue is engineered to sound like right now, because the carbon imprint, the carbon dating on some of the like, hey, we're trying to try to guess what people sound like a year from now when a movie comes out. Josh and Jessica figured it out, and this amazing cast, courtesy of their nimbleness with tone, was able to just roll with that. And one last thing to say, courtesy of Kirk Shaw and Stephanie Rennie, we shot hashtag AmFat, all my friends are dead in order. So now we had a murder mystery that it could work with tone, and we would find twists and new layers to characters. And if a scene, for whatever reason, felt a bit yesterday, we could improve it and modernize it right there. Everybody was so nimble and could find the dark humor, could even find, and then we earned that precious moment where everyone's facade drops. As soon as the horror movie takes over, then the facade is gone. The fake is gone. And we find out that these characters really do have some damage, have some dark secrets, maybe just have poked the wrong bear out there in the form of the seven deadly sins killer, who's like, yeah, I know more about you than you think you've shared with the world, and I'm coming.
Seriously, guys, I've seen this trailer, and I'm not just saying this because he's here, I promise. Hashtag AmFat, all my friends are dead. And I want to talk about it more in a little bit, but I'm not going to keep people waiting for me to ask you this question. So everyone wants to know, there have been plenty of rumors and speculation over the years about a new installment in the Collector series. So go ahead, can you set the record straight and tell us if we can ever expect a new Collector movie?
I wish to set the record great, courtesy of Todd Lundbaum. After 5 years of Gordian knot untangling, the Collector is free. The Collector gets to come back. And it is something that Josh Stewart, we're pumped. Emma Fitzpatrick, we're thrilled. Like, we want to come back and do it right. And so now what does that mean? What are the next steps? Well, really, we're at the nascent stage. So we're going to get together and we want to take advantage of the time that has been there and also acknowledge it. So can we just go and do exactly what we were going to do before? No, that might ring a little false. That was a reflection of a different time. So if we're going to do it now, what's the smartest play? Because we are very protective of these characters. Josh Stewart, I'm gonna stick my nose out a little bit here, and I don't know if there's ever been another final man. We've had the final woman. We've had the final girl. But have we had a final boy or man in the sense that Josh Stewart is, in the sense of a versus a slasher versus that? Now, I know that in many other types of cinema, like I equated what Josh brought to the table. He's named Arkin after Alan Arkin's character in Wait Until Dark. The bad guy looking for heroin in Audrey Hepburn's apartment. a scary person who was also capable of charm. So Josh Stewart would have been the villain of the Collector if the horror movie hadn't invaded it, but the horror movie did. So to have someone with that caliber, I want to honor that. Like that's a really he did it beautifully. And I thought there was one image when I was a kid and my dad took me to Die Hard, the first Die Hard. There was a moment where John McClane's feet are bloodied from running on glass. He's tied a hose, a fire extinguishing hose around his waist, and he's going to swing into this window, and he does, and he lands, but then the weight of the lever, the spool starts to pull him out, and there's a point of view shot of those bloody feet slipping against more glass as it goes towards the edge. The feeling of a elevator dropping in my stomach to cold was so cool. I thought that's a character for a horror movie, somebody that regards the threat level like that. It's neat. Every now and again, be it the weather, be it a force, be it a nightmare, something comes along and tells us how small we are. And I thought, I'm going to build a badass and put him in a room with a shadow that can grow into a nightmare. So long-winded again, come back to, we are going to honor the opportunity to bring the Collector back. So it is a burning freight train of fright straight to your mind. It is not like anything we've done. We've come close to it. It always had a more serious tone, but no, this has to feel like we dare you.
There's been rumors for years that the Collector was actually supposed to be, what was it, a spinoff of Saw?
Well, it existed as its own property called Midnight Man, and then I'm going to say Carl Mazzacone, when he was affiliated, I believe, with Lionsgate, and Greg Hoffman, who was a producing partner alongside Warren Coulis and Mark Berg. We met with Greg Hoffman, and we discussed it, courtesy of Carl Mazzacone, because it existed. It was its own thing, but at this point, this was in between the window of Saw 3 completing photography, Saw 4 being something they wanted to commit to, and James Wan and Lee Winnell were pursuing another motion picture, I believe at Universal. So there was this kind of Wild West moment where someone could jump in and do that. And Patrick and I were so fortunate that we had only existed in made cinema as doing Feast, which was, you know, a funny, gory creature feature beautifully conveyed by John Gulager. But The Midnight Man was a proof of tone concept that, wow, in the house, there's the tear threshold. So it had the possibility of maybe being an origin story for one of their characters. Saw 2, for example, was an existing script by Darren Lynn Bousman, rewritten to be a Saw screenplay with the beautiful, like, doggone that twist of Saw 2's twist is so freaking cool. And I want to give credit to Peter Block, I think, for coming up with it. Friggin' awesome. So it was something that was teed up like that. But what it ultimately did was it allowed us to join the competition of who is going to write Saw 4. So then 3 different writers were hired, 2 teams and another individual. And that's how that happened. So by that time, it was like, hey, we know you can do something, but we want to do a more, you know, we want to do a sequel. So there you go.
Huh.
It really created consideration for us.
I always say Saw 4 is my favorite of the series, and not just the Saw series. I mean, in general, people like Blade Runner, Star Wars. I'm like, no, Saw 4.
Thank you, Dave. Gracious. Well, I thought, yeah, Darren did a beautiful job, and like I thought it was, you know, wonderfully acted, and then, of course there was a lot of acreage for Tobin to be present as well. He's marvelous. He's a great actor. Like in rewatching the X-Files, he's the star of one of their episodes about a guy who's somehow impervious to the fallout effects of a cigarette malady, but he's the one that smokes the most, you know. And it's just the way he carries that whole episode is so good. Like, this is a guy that acted in Goodfellas. He was Robert De Niro's parole officer. He's in Mississippi Burning. He's in The Firm. Like, this guy holds his own and has done so for decades. Like Clint Eastwood in that opening with Line of Fire, badass. So it's really nice that Saw 10, I think, was this great actor coming out and saying, I'm here. And so I'm excited to see where it goes.
There are rumors that in Jurassic Park, the next one, that Tobin Bell may or may not be attached.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Like, I think he's great. Like, why not? Because when I'm thinking of the first Jurassic Park, I was actually an usher when that came out in Macomb, Illinois, and John Hammond, I knew as I thought it was fascinating that he was also, a filmmaker acting in this movie. But Tobin Bell could be like, Vincent Price is showing up, and Vincent Price with a guillotine, really like, whoa, that's pretty cool. There's no raised eyebrow. It's gravity. I love it.
I want to go back to hashtag AmFat All My Friends Are Dead, and I want to talk about something extremely controversial. So I'm an honest guy, so I'm going to talk about it. Jojo Siwa is a very controversial figure, to say the least. How did her involvement influence the direction of the film, if at all?
Well, courtesy of Jennifer Schwartz of Roundtable, did we have a chance at including JoJo in the movie? And I would say for all the attention that is bestowed upon Jojo Siwa for any number of things, it's always coming from quite an impressive ability to entertain, to transform throughout time. And this is a very young person, but when I was doing a little bit of research, I was surprised at how many facets to the term multifaceted were there. I saw the singing, I saw the dancing, I saw the performing, and the best kept secret was, this is a great actor. And the great actor had footprints. If you go all the way back to School of Rock, where she and Jay Pettijohn, the lead of the film, shared real estate in that episode. And again, watching them resume was so doggone magic. No, this is a very good actor. I think that this is someone that knows exactly, what they're doing, and that attention begets attention in so many ways. And this, I love that we get to be a secret. Like, I found her to be voltage. And also, to kind of go behind the scenes, we shot a lot of her material like at my home where I live, and then at a place called the Galley right behind. Like, we had to do the most with our time. We had a very I say very ambitious schedule. And so she made it easy, because this is a pro who showed up, and it felt like we were getting 2 minutes for every one. And she also, I wanted to say, like, she gave us a couple extra hours. And this is an awesome person. I felt I really felt grateful that, okay, I'm glad that Josh and Jessica's screenplay created Colette, a character that represents a heart. And I am grateful that Jojo Siwa agreed to realize that heart. And in the success of all the other components, everybody else in the cast coming together, it hit. And that's what made this thing special. That's what made it something that we all wanted to protect, with everything we had. And now it's the critical point where we need a little bit of light on it, courtesy of you and courtesy of getting a word out, because it's almost like there's 100 miles of freeway, and the car we're in is going 200 miles per hour, and every bit of media is just a billboard, and you want to get that person's attention for it. So this is a critical moment. If we are so fortunate to have your eyes on hashtag AmFat All My Friends Are Dead, maybe you see it in a movie theater. Why? Because we're at an age where maybe you make a great movie for a studio, but they're like, delete. Or you spend $135 million and you have an Oscar nominee in the lead. Yeah, but that's going to be on your phone. Somehow, through some series of miracles, a ton of hard work, a little bit of luck, and then even more hard work, we were able to get into theaters. And when we turn that silver screen red, it is in honor of hashtag AmFat All My Friends Are Dead. And it's also on demand. So I think at home it'll also play big. But we shot for the silver screen, and when we had a premiere in Tribeca, and we were able to watch it, and like the cast got themselves there. We were all up there to host it and celebrate it. And it was a magic moment, a time capsule of meeting the people behind the performances. And we were all back in a state of seeing something that maybe was too edgy for our age, even though we're all adults. We could watch that happen in the silhouettes. So I was back to being an usher again. I stood in the back of the theater, making sure the volume was at about 7.5 because that was good. And then and it sold out for 3 nights, and there was nothing like watching the silhouettes jump, scream, and laugh based on everybody's most sincere, hard-fought effort to deliver. And I'm grateful, man. It's awesome. And so hopefully, hey, sometimes the world gets a little scary, as we've also seen. And maybe now this movie gives a place for all those tensions and anxieties to go. For 91 minutes, we'll take everything you got. We're going to beg you to stay through the end credits. Why? Because this thing has more twists than a stick of licorice. And we do not stop entertaining until the last image flickers out. So please stay with us. And when the algorithm shrinks it to a tiny square on the lower right window, please click it. Please see the names. Please see what else is coming, because we've got voltage to come. So that's hashtag AmFat. All my friends are dead. We're coming loud and proud August 2nd.
Every day when I wake up and before I go to bed, I say 3 things I'm grateful for. And I'm gonna reverse the question and throw it on to you, Marcus. So what are 3 things that you are grateful for?
Family, friends, hope.
On a personal note, and hey, if you don't want me to say this, I can cut it out, but I hope it's okay to share this with my audience. Let me know if it's not. Again, I'll cut it out. But Marcus was a huge part of my healing journey earlier this year when I was coming off an attempt at taking my own life. I was about to lose my home. The only person I had was my lovely girlfriend, Caitlin, and this man found my story somehow online. He reached out, offered his support, and, I'll never forget that. And I think we're friends now, right, Marcus? We're good friends.
I would hope so. Goodness. I mean, short of helping you move a couch, how else can I prove it? Yeah, and I'm grateful and honored as well, man. Thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for promoting art, and you got someone out there rooting for you. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for caring.
Oh, thank you. Where can people find you?
Well, that's where I'm a bit confounding. All my stuff's set to pretty much private. I like them to watch the movie. So if this has helped anyone's opinion, want to know more, please see this movie. It's that's where you get to know a little bit more about me, because this is what I fought for and this is what I love.
Awesome. Make sure you check out Marcus's new movie, hashtag AmFad, All My Friends Are Dead. Keep your eye out on the next collector, because it is happening, right?
Yes, thank goodness. And it's in nascent stages, so okay, now that the shackles are off, okay, what shall we do? How do we honor this time that's passed? How do we honor the folks that want to see it? And maybe when we get that next group in the dark, we scare them like we've never scared them before.
Remember the name Marcus Dunstan, and also remember to love yourself, because you absolutely matter. Thank you so much for doing this, man. I genuinely do appreciate you.
David, thank you, and likewise. Thank you.
Please subscribe to the channel if you're watching on the YouTube channel, and follow us on our socials listed in the description below, and I'll just promote your movie and everything on your end. I'm David Claire Bennett. He is Marcus Dunstan. Do not miss hashtag AmFad, All My Friends Are Dead on August 2nd. Go see this movie in a theater, because you have to, because there's nothing like the experience. This is Real Appreciation, and we are out.
That was awesome.
It is official. We are finally getting a third collector movie. Finally, after all these years. This is like waiting for the next Grand Theft Auto game to come out, which is never going to happen, it seems like. But all jokes aside, Marcus is an incredible dude. I'm honored to call him my friend, my brother, just such a fun personality and a wonderful human being. What a great guy. Seriously, guys. I'm on Twitter at David Claire B, also at David Claire B on TikTok. Please send a screenshot and tag me so we know that you're listening to the show. Before we get out of here, let's leave this time with an anonymous gratitude quote, and it says, "Gratitude turns every meal into a feast. Savor the flavors and cherish the hands that prepared it." Please, please, please do me one favor out of this whole conversation today. If you see hashtag AmFad, All My Friends Are Dead playing at your local theater, please invest the time to go see it. Better yet, bring a friend, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, your accountant? Do people still have those? Do people in 2024 know what that means? Regardless, guys, go see hashtag AmFad, All My Friends Are Dead out on August 2nd. Please follow Real Appreciation on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for 275,000 total viewers in just a span of 4 weeks. That's incredible. You're incredible. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to the show or watching it on YouTube. I've got some more exciting names coming on the show very, very soon. So if you keep listening, I'll keep doing what I'm doing. And plus, I'm having so much fun, and I hope you guys are too. Have a wonderful day, night, evening, whatever time it is you're listening to this. I hope you're immensely okay. I hope you're strong, because you matter so, so much. Sincerely. I will see you next Friday, right here on a brand new episode of Real Appreciation. I'm David Claire Bennett, and thank you for listening.